Welcome to the Fairview Social Podcast. We have a little bit different of a show today. We have a special guest, but before I introduce him, I would like for you guys to visit the website, www.thefairviewsocialpodcast.com. Check out Spotify. You can see the videos. Check out YouTube. You can see the videos on there. Soon, you will be able to see it on Apple Podcasts. Working on that. But without further ado, I have Wyatt Chocklett here on the show.
Thanks, Tim. Glad to be here.
Glad for you to show up. I think that the community, this is a good episode for the community. This is my contribution to the Fairview community to have you on. And I am kind of disconnected a lot of ways to all the things that are going on. But I will say that several weeks ago, and maybe you can clear some of these things up as we talk, the community heard that we're putting ER out here in Fairview, and which is awesome. And we can get into that some more. But yeah, you're going to come on and you're going to talk about it. And it's going to be awesome.
I'm excited. Great story for the community, and just happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, why don't we just start with you a little bit, Wyatt? Kind of tell us how you got into, the healthcare and how you ended up. I know that you started at out here in Dixon in July.
Yeah. Came back home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sort of like a Grateful Dead song. It's been a long, strange journey. I am from a small town in South Carolina. Mom's a teacher, and wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And when I was graduating college, that was, the big bust of 2008, 2009. Mm-hmm. Went to grad school, still didn't know what I wanted to do. And my lovely wife, she was in school here in Nashville, and she said, I don't really care what you do, but you're moving to Nashville. And the only company that was hiring at the time was HCA Healthcare. Mm. And I'm so glad to work for that company. They've blessed my wife and my family with so many incredible opportunities. And so I've been with HCA 15 years. And like you said, I had the opportunity to come and get into the hospital space back in 2014. Good friend of mine and a great mentor, John Marshall, was the CEO of TriStar Horizon. And maybe he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at the time. And he allowed me to take on an administrator role. And so I had the privilege to work under John, and really launched my administrative career, and spent 3 years here in Dixon, and obviously spent a lot of time here in Fairview. And then as my career goes, spent 5 years down in Florida at a few HCA hospitals, and then spent 4 years in North Carolina, one of our large HCA hospitals. And proud to say I've got a 7 and a 5-year-old now, and we spent a lot of time on vacation here in Nashville. And this opportunity to come back home to Dixon opened up, and we've been back here ever since July of last year. So couldn't be happier, man.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit a second ago about how it's just awesome out here.
It is.
There's no place like Middle Tennessee.
Yeah. And, I grew up in, like I said, a small town in South Carolina. And so much of what I see in the town I grew up in, I see in Fairview, right? Mm-hmm. Really sort of on that brink of something special. And to be at the place I am in my career where I can help grow and influence and really make it a destination place to live. That's why I do what I do. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Yeah. That's really cool. It's a great story. And more than anything, you got to listen to your wife.
That's right. That's right. She's, she keeps me on the straight and narrow. She's always pushed me to be better, take on new opportunities. But at the end of the day, she also reminds me I've got to be a great dad and husband. And I think that's, despite how busy my job can be at times, like, she gives me a lot of balance, and I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah. So what's it like every day being the CEO of a hospital? I will say that I watch a lot of TV.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that it's not the same as that, but
there's parts that are. I think there's definitely some overlap with Scrubs.
Yeah.
I know that there's a new show out on network TV. We don't have cable, so I don't know the name of it, but a parody of hospital administrators. I think by and large, hospital administrators, their hearts are in the right place. And we all have to carefully navigate changes in legislation, or changes with insurance companies, or changes in the community. And part of our job as administrators is to lead through all that change.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be ill received by the folks in your hospital, but sometimes we don't always realize this, but our own employees are always looking to us for guidance. You know, they can read the room. They know when it's going to be a challenging time. And so we always have to be prepared. And then that's really what I tell my team almost every day, is that we don't know how the day is going to end, but we've got to be ready for 5 different things could happen today. And I think that's where we talk a lot about resiliency, especially these days with state and federal legislations changing all the time. I mean, even this afternoon, some further legislation passed, and you know, we're just take it day by day.
Yeah. I can see that it's just everything's changing all the time, and you know, always having to push that out to everybody and get everybody on board, and doing all the things, especially with a company that big. You know,
it is, and you know, I will say, there's a million things I love about HCA Healthcare, and we can move medicine in a way that other organizations can't. You know, I had the honor really to speak at every one of our new hire orientations. And one of the examples I give is that HCA Healthcare as an organization delivers more babies every year than the entire continent of Australia.
Oh, wow.
And so what we can do with organizations like March of Dimes, where we educate on elective deliveries before 39 weeks are not the best for the mom and the baby. Well, it's our data at HCA that allows organizations like March of Dimes or Blood Cancer United or even our state hospital associations to make really well-informed decisions. And so it's a solemn responsibility we have at the local level, like the communities we serve, but the impact we have is really unmatched by any other healthcare organization in the world.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, so moving into the whole Fairview conversation, you know, like we talked about, I've lived here all my life, and it's always been a huge concern out here. You know, I was going to say that one of the questions would be why come out to Fairview, but as a lifelong resident, you know, even now, especially now that I'm getting older, like, what if I have a heart attack?
Yeah.
You know, and so all of my life, it's always been, you're either going to have to go to Dixon, you're going to have to go to Franklin Williamson Medical Center, or you go to St. Thomas. And that's always been what the options were. But to think that, you know, if I'm having a heart attack, you know, you might not have enough time to get there.
It's funny you say time, Tim, because in emergencies, heart attacks, strokes, minutes matter.
Yeah.
Minutes equate to brain, minutes equate to heart tissue. And that is the reality that the city of Fairview faces, is that they're going to turn their blinker on and they're either going to head west, east, or southeast. And we have been a part of Fairview, as you know, for about a decade with our medical office services. We've brought primary care, we've brought pulmonology, we've now brought cardiology here to Fairview, and in a few weeks we're going to be standing up a dermatology practice here in Fairview. But in an emergency, you need access to healthcare providers, and we've known this for many, many years. And this is an exciting time because it allows us to fulfill that vision we've had here in Fairview.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just another thing that we were, you know, my wife and I were talking about this. Let me tell you how this played out for us and probably to the normal local resident here. I was telling you about the Facebook page that we have, and everybody's kind of talking about everything. So several weeks ago, I wake up in the morning and there's a news story about an ER coming to Fairview. I'm like, oh, okay, that's awesome. And so I don't remember if it was you guys or the St. Thomas one. And so we're like, all right. And everybody's like, yeah, that's awesome. And we need this. Sounds good. And literally like a day or two later, I wake up the next morning and I'm like, didn't I already see this? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot here. I'm just telling you, like, as the locals are trying to understand what's happening, which one of them are going in, and how is all that process working?
Yeah. So if you go down a little bit of the legislative history of Tennessee, so several decades ago, most states across the U.S. had had put in place what's called a certificate of need legislation.
Yeah.
And what that did, the intent of certificate of need when it was passed legislatively was to prevent the monopolization of healthcare services or the overutilization of healthcare services. In other words, you didn't want to put 3 MRI scanners in a tiny town with 5,000 people.
Yeah.
Right. What it also did is it also prevented too many healthcare systems coming into a town at one time and saturating the market with services. So as time has gone on, particularly west of the Mississippi, CON legislation has largely been disbanded. East of the Mississippi, it's headed that way. Some states still have really strict CON laws. The way I think about it is that the state of Tennessee is trying to modernize. Go back to that MRI example. So when I was at Horizon a decade ago, we submitted a certificate of need or CON application to open up the region's first neonatal ICU because those babies were having to be shipped to Nashville or Jackson, and we wanted to keep those families local. You know how important it is with a young family. As we were presenting our application, just before us, there was a hospital from East Tennessee that had to go and file and hire attorneys and go through the whole process just to replace an MRI that they currently had at their hospital. And so that, in many times, can be a barrier to creating access. And so what the state of Tennessee is trying to do is modernize. And a lot of states east of the Mississippi are trying to modernize what CON legislation looks like. So it's not fully disbanded yet here in Tennessee. At HCA Healthcare, we're fervent believers in an open and free market. Our quality speaks for itself. Our operations, our access speaks for itself. We're very comfortable competing in markets without or states without a CON. Mm-hmm. And so how we arrived to this series of applications this year was that Horizon, we had been planning this journey for several years. And it just so happened that the stars aligned that earlier this year happened to be the same time that another system wanted to apply as well. Mm-hmm. And so I think what the state is doing is taking a very methodical and fair approach to the applications. We will go and present our case to the state May 27th, as will the other applicant. There's a commission of appointed representatives that will hear both arguments, and there's really 3 options we think that could happen. Option 1 is that, and I can't imagine this would ever happen, is that the commission says Fairview doesn't need an ER. Yeah. Option 2 is that either our application could be approved or the other applicant could be approved. Or this is another option is that both could be approved. And then, let the chips fall where they may. And, I can say, Tim, HCA has an incredible track record of building these things for the community, the things that we commit to, the capital dollars, the full-time jobs, we execute on these things. I didn't mention before the podcast, when I was at Horizon last time, I actually opened the Natchez ER.
Oh, really?
Which was the first de novo freestanding ER in the state of Tennessee. And, that place has just done exceptional things for the community. So this hospital and me personally just really know the impact of a freestanding ER here in a community like this. Yeah.
Well, thank you for clearing that up, because, you can go down so many rabbit holes of what's going on. And, we've even seen where, they're teaming up, or it's like, obviously this is a competitive market here.
Absolutely.
And you're right. They're not going to say, no, Fairview doesn't need that.
Absolutely.
I mean, I just got done telling you, I'm 45 years old, and for 45 years we've needed an ER here. Yeah. Probably even longer than that, obviously. But it's just, I've even gone onto this Facebook page and seeing where people are so confused about it, and they're going, you just don't know what is happening. And I feel like now, I have a better understanding that, this is a competition.
Yeah. The big day is May 27th.
Is it?
And that day, the commission will, like I said, the commission will hear both, and we've got a great story to tell. And we hope to receive the approval.
Yeah. So what does it look like out here? Do we have a site where it would go?
Yeah, let's talk about that. So I love the site that our proposal is positioned to be on. It's actually just across the street from Bowie Nature Park.
Okay.
And when we think about, well, why would you put it there? Well, it's about access because, like you said earlier, centrally located, very high traffic pattern every day. And when I'm out in the community here in Fairview, we talk to our EMS partners all the time, right? With a 24/7 ER, they're going to be able to drop those patients off and get back out into the city of Fairview.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we know that the resources are always limited with EMS, no matter where you go. And the less time they have to spend at a hospital or an ER, the better it is for the community because they're going to be back on the road faster for that next call. I mean, if you think about the city of Fairview, every time an ambulance leaves the city to transport outside the city, that's one less critical resource the city has right now. And so having a 24/7 ER that's located centrally in Fairview, it just does so many great things for the healthcare community.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense to go right there and be centralized. And I'm sure that the people at Fairview would say, or that they would want to know, what does that look like for our traffic situation? Because our traffic situation is a nightmare as it is. We hear from, the city representatives that it's a TDOT thing. And do we know if any of that stuff would align with, this ER opening over there?
Yeah. So here's what I'll say broadly about freestanding ERs is that the volume at a freestanding ER is not the same as a large metropolitan ER.
Yeah.
So number one, there's going to be fewer traffic than at a hospital. And in our application, we sort of outlined that we think somewhere between 25 to 30 patients a day would be treated at the Fairview ER. Number two, between city, state, and even national guidelines for freestanding ERs, you have to have certain amount of parking spots to begin with. But one of the things that's also required is a separate entrance and exit for EMS. And so we are already partnering with a local engineering firm here in Fairview to start thinking about some of those options and what that scenario would look like if we're awarded the certificate of need, and how do we not back up Fairview Boulevard worse than it already is right now. So we're very conscious, and we're going to work with the community if we're allowed to proceed with this to be accessible, but not be a bottleneck, especially as ER volume starts to ramp up through the day and Fairview Boulevard really starts to get humming. So
yeah,
it's at the top of our mind.
So with that, you mentioned, talking about 35 patients or whatever a day. So what would be the capacity of this hospital? What could be done there? What would need to go somewhere else?
Yeah. Great question. So at the end of the day, it's about a 10,000 square foot building. It's going to have 11 separate or private exam rooms, just like you would have in a main campus ER. It's going to have a resuscitation room. And so that's if patients come in needing life-saving resuscitation. It's also going to have, like I said, a separate EMS entrance bay on the backside of the emergency room. Here's what's different about a freestanding ER than what Fairview currently has now. So outside of what's on the EMS rigs right now, there's no crash cart. There's no pediatric crash cart. There's no ventilator. There's no automatic defibrillator in most instances. Some of the core tools and resources you need in healthcare are only available on the EMS rigs right now. That's what's available at a freestanding ER. All the same equipment, life-saving measures, medicines, vaccines, like rabies or the immunoglobulin you need, all those things are going to be available for the first time ever at the TriStar Fairview ER.
Yeah.
So going back to your original statement about time being brain or heart, we're going to be able to administer clot-busting drugs for stroke patients that we can't currently do in the city of Fairview right now unless those patients get transferred to Dixon or elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's just so crazy to think that this is happening now when it should have happened so long ago.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure that you guys know all the statistics on it, but like how many people have lost their lives because of, you know, just the time that it takes to get to somewhere else.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, well, what was I going to say? I was going to ask you about, do you think that there's going to be a lot of people coming in from like Hickman County area, Bon Aqua and all that? Would they be coming this way?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, strategically, we want to be within 15 to 20 minutes of any patient that we serve at Horizon Medical Center. So obviously we serve all of Dixon. We serve the counties to the west. We already serve Hickman and Fairview as well. In fact, 50% of the patients that seek ER care in Fairview, we're proud to take care of at Dixon. And so now instead of having to make a 25, 30-minute drive, it's a 2-minute drive. We will anticipate some of the volume already coming from Hickman that goes to the Natchez ER. Mm-hmm. It could potentially go to Fairview. That's what's great about choice, right? And in an open market is that depending on where you're at in Hickman County or where you're at in Fairview, Dixon still may be closer. But having this option is really a game changer for quite a few of the communities that are central to Fairview.
Yeah. What is the timeline on this? Say, you know, later in May, whatever happens gets approved. Like from that time, when would it be complete and open and ready to go?
Most likely less than 18 months.
Oh, really?
So
that's pretty
yeah.
quick.
So HCA, we've built and opened across the country probably 150 freestanding ERs. The number grows every day, but we've done such a good job to figure out on the front end how to reduce delays that we feel really good that by the end of 2027, if we receive approval, that we'd be here to serve the community.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely for this. I mean, it's just something that's been needed for so long, and it's just like I said, it's so crazy to think now that I'm sitting here with you in front of me, and I'm like, why have we not done this? It's so bad.
Yeah.
But so as far as this website that you guys sent, put it up here on the screen. So this website is basically for people to visit it and then, you know, I guess sign up to support it.
Yeah, absolutely. So why support is important is that we want the community to be heard. Mm-hmm. And as we present our application to the board in a few weeks, they're going to read every letter. And what we want to do is give the citizens of Fairview a chance to voice that support. It's really important to us, but it's also important to the commission that they hear directly from the residents. But what's great is also we can take the time if folks have questions after a letter of support or before a letter of support, let us help educate.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I love being able to kind of walk through what this is going to look like, but we didn't even talk about the imaging capabilities. We're going to have a CT scanner here. We're going to have X-ray. We're going to have ultrasound. So many things that aren't available here in Fairview for these patients. It's going to become a reality.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yes, we love letters of support. They make a big difference in our application. But let's use that also as a way to have some dialogue about, well, what does this actually mean? You know, am I going to have a lab on site? Absolutely. So labs don't get sent out. Everything is built within this ER ecosystem in the building.
Yeah. Do we have, I guess there's always people looking for a job. Would they just come in from these other hospitals, or like what's the hiring look like?
You know, what's so great about Horizon is that we have employees that drive from, you know, Dixon County. We have almost 50 employees that work in Fairview that drive to Dixon every day. We have employees that live as far west as Linden and they drive to Horizon. And these are going to be opportunities for the folks that are looking for a change or a growth opportunity to come here to Fairview. So with that in mind, our thought is we want to have a specific hiring fair just for Fairview City residents that are looking for an opportunity to be a part of this campus. And I know it's going to draw a lot of attention, and that brings, you know, high paying full-time jobs, directly back to the city of Fairview. And that's another really exciting part about this whole project is that we'll be able to create somewhere between 35 and 40 jobs with this campus opening.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure there's a lot of people that live out here that are driving to these other places to work in this industry. So that's good. So to support all of this, this website is TriStar Fairview or TriStar ER. Let me look this up real quick. It is TriStarFairviewER.com. You can check it out. There's a little bit of information on this, and check that out and fill out the thing, and make sure you don't put it says do not send data, consider confidential. So don't put your social security number.
Yeah, it's different than the patient portal.
Yeah,
we have a separate website for that. Yeah,
this is just to support. Don't put your stuff in there.
Right.
All right, we have a few pictures here that you guys sent. We can go through. So this is the proposed look of it here.
That's right. Yeah. So what you see on the screen now is a rendering as if you're looking from the exit of Bowie Nature Park.
Okay.
So we were fortunate to acquire property that is almost 6 acres, and this is really the sort of the front facing of the ER where you enter in on the left. And Tim, I've opened several of these freestanding ERs, like I said, the one in Dixon, but also in other markets I've been in. It's hard to articulate until you experience it that we've all been in big, busy ERs, but to be able to park in that parking lot, walk right into the front door and be seen by a board certified emergency physician within 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It is an absolute game changer for healthcare.
I think we've all been in a situation where you've had to go to the emergency room, or you've had to take someone to the emergency room, and you're just there forever.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't imagine that, this would be just, going all the time. Yeah, hopefully not.
Yeah.
But that is awesome to think that you could get seen pretty quickly.
And the same physicians, the same nurses, the same radiology professionals that work at Horizon's main campus and our Natchez campus, they're going to have opportunities to come out here too. So it's the same faces that have always provided that care.
Yeah. Here we have this is y'all's area over here. Past the park.
This is another great story. So about a decade ago, Horizon was approached by the commissioners of Fairview because there wasn't a medical office building in Fairview, right? You could probably retrofit a house or retrofit an old existing maybe commercial building, but we worked with the city commissioners at the time. We worked with land developers and property developers, and our whole intent a decade ago with the medical office building was to bring primary care and to bring any other healthcare we could. And so if you fast forward today, we have multiple primary care groups. There's a pharmacy there already. We also have a timeshare in that medical office building where Horizon has brought cardiology. Like I said, we have pulmonology there, podiatry, and then in a few weeks, we're also going to have dermatology. So it's really the commitment to Fairview has been here for more than a decade, and we're just excited to be able to take this next step.
Yeah, that's awesome. Looks like here, see some familiar faces there.
Yeah, this is, I think, one of the great things about the city of Fairview is that when we sent in our application, we came and presented to the mayor and the city commissioners, and we said, at the end of the day, whether our application is approved or the other applicants is approved, the city of Fairview wins.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It's just the city wins, and that's what excites me. And I think we've got a really strong argument, and we're going to tell a great story, and we're going to continue to provide the care we always have. But the picture you see here is a joint resolution that was brought forth by Commissioner Don Buffalini, and it was a joint resolution supporting both applications so that it doesn't have to become up to the commissioners and the mayor to pick sides.
Yeah.
We would rather be down the middle and tell our story and let the state decide.
Yeah.
And either way, the city of Fairview wins in this.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. When I saw this picture, I was like, I don't think that they're all, but that makes sense. So you just say, hey, we're all just here to, let the free market do its thing.
That's right.
And then let's see what we got here.
Oh yeah. So last week there was a morning coffee with a lot of local officials and small business owners. This was just down the road at Carr Orthodontics, which is a great practice, by the way. Dr. Carr, she's exceptional. I loved getting to meet her and hearing her story about how she would drive by Fairview every day on her way to work, and she identified this building and completely renovated it and saw something in Fairview, a lot like what Horizon did, right? Mm-hmm. And so we also had the privilege of welcoming Congressman Matt Van Epps, who serves not only Fairview but also Dixon. Mm-hmm. And he was out of session, and a couple of weeks ago, we all just got together, just really heard about Carr Orthodontics and their story. Congressman had the chance to share some of the important legislation on his agenda, and I think it just really just showed the community coming together, the small business community, in support of what we're trying to achieve here.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, what we got here? It looks like you're
shaking hands and kissing babies, man.
Shaking hands and kissing babies.
Nothing better than Kano's, man.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was thinking. I was like, I wonder which one. Which one it is.
Yeah. So we had our second sort of community event at, you saw earlier, the medical office building. That's me just inside. Man, what a great event. So last Thursday, we hosted an open house for anybody like what you're describing, Tim, where it's, what does all this mean? And where do you stand on all this? So we had over 50 people come, and it was a great turnout. Received a lot of letters of support. Kano's has always been a great partner of ours here in Fairview. And so we served dinner and answered questions and, just helped educate, raise awareness about what we're trying to achieve here. And man, it was a great night to just be back in the community and share our story.
I was talking to my wife about this last night, and because we didn't know who was doing this and all that, and she was like, well, you can just do like Armando did. There's already 2 Mexican restaurants here, and he opened another one. We'll just put a few ERs out here.
Yeah, I know. He's spreading his wings. He's got locations everywhere.
I was gonna say he's got all of this here going on in Fairview. Yep. I heard he's got something down in the Gulch now.
What's great though, Tim, is that I'll brag on Kano's for a second. So they've always had a food truck at Horizon, and for years. And this past Thanksgiving, the guys at Kano's called us and said, "Hey, we know your cafeteria is going to be closed on Thanksgiving. We would love to bring the truck and feed your day shift, your night shift, and the weekend guys. Yeah. No cost. We just want to be, we appreciate the relationship we have with Horizon." And the answer was yes. But that's, I think, what really typifies Fairview is we're trying to articulate it sometimes, but it's folks like Armando and Fernando that give of themselves without asking anything back. And I think that's what makes Fairview such a special place. And just the relationship they have with the hospital and the city of Dixon, it's incredible.
Yeah, Armando's really good about that stuff. He's been, I would consider him a treasure of the community here because he's always so giving and always willing to do whatever. I could go up there right now and say, "Hey, Armando, can I borrow this, or can I do that? Can you get me a keg of beer?" And it's like it's always yes. He's always very helpful. So that's awesome that he's supporting you guys.
No, it's great.
All right, and then finally we have, I assume that this is your wife.
No, this is
excuse me.
That's okay. This is actually Patty Carroll. So Patty's a good friend and supporter of bringing an ER to Fairview. So she's the economic director for the city of Fairview, and she's really been sort of a resource for us to help us understand, some of the things that we have to navigate as we go through the application process. But she shares the same sentiment we do. Either way, Fairview wins. And I'm just really happy that she and Mayor Lisa Anderson came out and, showed their support for our application last Thursday. So it was great.
Yeah. My apologies, Patty and Wyatt.
No worries.
No, that's great. Well, I definitely appreciate you coming on and clearing some things up. And if people want to reach out or have any questions about it, would you just direct them to this website, or is there a specific person or place they can call?
Absolutely. The website's the best. We've got a Facebook page. Drop us a comment, submit your letter, ask us questions. At the end of the day, we just want to help educate and raise awareness because, when we did this same project back in Dixon a decade ago, they didn't know what a freestanding ER was.
Yeah.
And so much of the success of a community depends on healthcare, but it requires a lot of healthcare education. And what we want to do is, as we go through this process, help educate along the way what a freestanding ER can do for a community.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess even for me, I mean, this is not a hospital. This is not like a place that you're going to get surgeries and schedule all these things. This is emergency.
Right.
So I think that even clearing up something as simple as that.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Because I'm thinking like hospital. We're getting a hospital.
Yeah. The reality is, not every patient that goes to the ER gets admitted.
Yeah.
Overnight or for a couple of days. In fact, with our freestanding ER in Dixon, less than 5% from time to time get admitted. The need that the freestanding ER serves is really for those patients that don't get admitted, 90+%. But what's great about this Fairview ER in the connection with Horizon is that if you need to be admitted, we will have the transport. We make that seamless integration of your medical records happen because it's all the same system. Mm-hmm. And you're going to get the same care at Horizon that you always have. Now, if a patient chooses to if they need to be admitted and they seek care somewhere else, we'll arrange that transport as well.
Yeah.
But by and large, what we're trying to do is create access away from these very busy main campus ERs and bring that healthcare local.
Yeah.
And in the event they need to come to the hospital, hey, we've got all that process worked out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, well, this is great. Like you said, I think one of the biggest things that I get out of this is, Fairview is going to win either way.
Either way.
And so I appreciate you coming on here. Do you have anything else you want to share? I mean,
yeah, I'll say this, Tim. I'm excited. It's an honor to be on the podcast. It's great to be in the Fairview area as much as I am right now. I think when I think about my journey with the city of Fairview, Fairview has always been a part of TriStar Horizon and our family. And at the end of the day, we want to be closer to your family now.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, appreciate you coming on here, and we'll see how it goes over with the residents of Fairview, but I think you'll be all right.
Thanks, Tim.
All right. Thanks, Wyatt. See you.